Testing, 1, 2, 3, 4.
We are recording.
Okay. So being 7 o'clock, I'd like to open the meeting of the Bellingham Board of Health for June 21st, 2022. Myself, in 40 Chair, Vice Chair Trish LeClaire, Member Mike Hennessy, sorry, Agent Bruce Wilson, Minutes Clerk Laura Renaud, and public, and Robbie Griffin, our tobacco and food agent. Sorry, Rob. Anyway, first order of business to review the minutes from June 7th, 2022.
Just to let you, if you notice on page 3, I was questioning that and Bruce did talk to Rob.
Okay.
I wasn't sure what was said about if they could still sell tobacco while the cease and desist is being written. And Rob said, yes, they could.
Okay.
So we'll keep that in there, even though it's highlighted.
Correct. Okay.
Was a cease and desist written yet, or is it still pending?
Robbie, can you,
Yeah, to my knowledge, it was written and sent out, but we can't do anything until the cease and desist obviously went out and they get through their appeal process because they were filing an appeal with the, I believe, the Superior Court.
Okay.
that's what, 21 days, Robbie?
21 days from, I don't know if the 21 days starts from the date that they received the cease and desist or 21 days from the date of our meeting. I believe it's our meeting date, but I know that they had already discussed looking to a higher court.
So how much time between our meeting and the cease and desist order that you handed out? How many days was that? A week? 2 weeks?
I think it was 2 weeks because it was sent out right after the last meeting.
Okay, so technically, the end of this month, 29th, 28th, or 30th, they would have their, they would have to have their request for a hearing before the court.
Yes.
Okay, fine. Something else that I think it's on here. Rob, when we made that motion to change our, what do we call it? Made an amendment to change our food service permits to be anything, food, liquid that's consumed. Did that letter go out to the establishment? I would say we probably should have hand delivered it, just so we could end up resolving PetSmart situation, you know.
I know that Bruce and I had spoken about that.
Okay.
I don't know if Bruce personally went out. I was in quarantine last week.
Oh, okay.
So I didn't get a chance to
Okay,
go out myself.
okay. So Bruce, did we end up doing anything with that?
was waiting for Robbie.
Okay,
I
fine.
thought both of us going down on our letter.
Okay, so why don't we do it this way here? Since nothing's, Laura, can you draft up a letter and Robbie and, the health agent could sign it and take it over to them, tell them they have 24 or 48 hours to remove that item from their store.
Why don't
Would you like
we,
us,
why don't we mail it and hand deliver it?
Yeah, that was my thought
Okay,
too, just so to make
okay.
sure they receive it.
Okay,
would you like us to mail them to every establishment or just that one in particular?
do we
I
have
would
any
mail it to
other-
all of them. That way they know.
Yeah, that's true, yes. I mean, I don't think we have anybody that has food that doesn't have a food permit, but it's possible. I mean. Okay, we'll do the return receipt and I guess at that point, we're not gonna wait. We're not-
A return receipt to every business is quite expensive, if that's the way we're gonna do it.
Well, I'm not worried about every other business should get it. We'll get notice that they got it. But I'm more concerned about PetSmart now is approaching, I don't know, probably 4 months.
Oh, okay, I understand.
And, it's something that, someone else will say, well, they're doing it, and I don't think that's gonna happen. But they have a unique situation. They have animals, not just service animals. They have all types of animals there. And they can't sell liquids or food without a food permit, which is now slightly, I don't say stricter than state law, but it is, state law is willing to say, well, that's not food. And I'm saying it's food. I don't care what you say, because we have other stores that sell liquids and candies and chips, and they have a food permit, so. And they have to abide by the no animals in the store unless they're service animals, so. Anyway. Okay, yeah, let's get that out.
It
So,
says it in the regs anyway, that they should have a copy of, so.
correct. Yeah, I thought that, that would suffice if we brought that down, 2 copies, they sign one, and then they keep the other copy and then say, we'll be back in 48 hours or whatever, just so we can resolve this, because now we'll probably go into the end of July before we end up having, well, maybe not, but it'll at least go to the 12th of July before we end up having any action on that. And I would say, Laura, if we get back a return receipt earlier than July 12th, we don't need a meeting. Send Bruce and Robbie out there, or one or both of you, and, tell them it's being removed, you need to remove it. And I guess the other thing was, if they wanted to appeal it, that's where I said the hand delivery would be perfectly good. They could be on the 12th. I don't want somebody waiting until the 12th to say I'm appealing it, And it simply was an amendment to our.
I'm fine with hand delivering it as long as it actually gets hand delivered.
Oh, yeah.
I can deliver it tomorrow if Bruce
Okay.
would like to go as well. I just unfortunately was in quarantine.
Yeah, what I'm saying is you can get it, there's a copy for them, sign it, that they received it. It's just like serving a, constable serving someone, you have to sign something. They don't do return receipt because a lot of people won't pick them up, or, they'll pick them up and say, oh, I never got it, somebody else in my family signed for it. So anyway, just thought I'd say that. Okay, anything on the agenda from the 7th, the minutes?
I'm accepted. Motion approved.
Okay, I'll second that. All those, well, Trish, you could second that. Okay, all those in favor say aye. Aye, opposed, abstained, so approved. Okay. So
Aye.
next, okay, thanks. So next business item is discuss the public hearing for tobacco regulation. Actually, Rob, is there anything on tobacco compliance that we need to know?
I know that you had your meeting with town council regarding that, the mind altering
Yes.
substances regulation. The person I've been dealing with was the one that gave me the answer, so there was no change on that front, unless you had something else develop at your meeting.
No, when I got down to that, I can do it now. I spoke, that's the person you spoke to? Okay.
I had spoken to council, but it might have been a different person at council.
Okay, yeah, this was, a lady, I believe, and in any event, yeah, it was, because she said the regular person that handles this I'm not sure if it's Jeff, but either way, she said you'd be better off having a public hearing to add the amendment back in, retro, saying that it was installed in the original document after the public hearing on October 13th. So we probably need to etch those dates in there when we have the public hearing, but this is to readdress an amendment that was somehow eliminated or overlooked in two writings of it, 2018 and 2020. 18, I don't remember what we did. It may have to do something with vaping. 20 was because the law changed from 18 to 21, and then there were a bunch of other state things. So we rewrote our regs to be in compliance, or let's say to be in, synonymous with the state reg. That's where we noticed that it was missing. In any event, or at a public hearing that I attended to the planning board, I made comment, and then the next day, I think I was checking it out, and I said, geez, it's not there. Anyway, that said, she said we can put it back in, and it will go retro to back to 2013, so that if the Cannabis Control Commission, she said they may still challenge it, but if they came in and said, well, the Bellingham Board of Health had no right to do this in 2013 to ban any mind altering substances, whether they're liquid, and by the way, the good news is because we said anything combusted, we don't have to add particular plants. It's anything you combust. It could be a plant, it could be a sugar, it could be a compound, but if you can put it in somewhere and combust it, it's banned if it's mind altering. So that said, I brought up the issue about alcohol. She said, well, that'll be a separate issue. The Cannabis Control Commission had said that they were gonna, one of the examples I used, and she said, yeah, that's true. She said, but they haven't had any trouble with the towns that have dispensaries requesting that they get a food permit. I said, well, I can. She said, you certainly can. She says, but initially, a brownie is a brownie, it's food. You need a food permit to sell it. A brownie with marijuana in it, or THC, is not a brownie. I said, well, I'm gonna just probably say, as a public health official, as a person who's, knows what food is, if you put it in your mouth, it's food, In any event, I said we would require them to have a food permit and get inspected. I'm saying that would be our requirement. But I said, I think we can stem it, and it does not have to get to that level, because they can challenge us. I just told her, I said, we'll be going to court, because I'm going to be pretty sure that the boards of health in this state since 1776 have never had a court overturn any ruling, as long as it could be stated and proven that it was in the interest of public health. And I don't know how to say it. It's definitely a public health threat. If people are using this as a staging thing, or they're using this and they're not in control of their functions, whatever. I mean, somebody could have a shock from it. Someone could have other reactions to any chemical, any medicine. So call it what it is. They're just taking that chance. And, if you purchase it at 21, I guess you can do whatever you want. You can drink yourself to death. You could smoke yourself to death.
All right, Vin, you want to make a motion on this
Yeah. So
to do the public hearing, to add it back in?
yeah, thank you.
Motion for a public hearing for the vaping ban.
No, it's for the re-amendment
Oh, the
of mind
re-amendment.
altering substances. Re-amending. Yeah.
Re-amendment.
Okay.
All right, I second that.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Same,
And
so
that's for the
carried.
July 12th meeting.
July 12th, yeah. Oh, Trish, we were looking over the schedule, and somehow I knew it wasn't the 5th. We were looking at the 19th, but I said that means there's only 2 weeks between the 19th and August 2nd, whereas there's 4 weeks from this meeting to the 19th. So are you okay with the 12th of July? Trish?
You muted.
Sorry, go ahead. Well,
Are
I
you okay with
missed that.
12th of July, that way there's 3 weeks between meetings, between the
That's-
end. Right?
That's fine.
Okay, great.
That's
Thank
fine.
you. Okay, so Laura, it is the 12th, post it and post a public hearing for that date as well. Thank you. So next business item is updates. We have any updates? I don't see any. Right? Okay. New business, we don't have any new business. Old business.
Can we have an update on the bins across the street from Stop and Shop?
Yeah. Bruce, the bins that Freddie DePrado has.
Freddie DePrado's attorney is in the process of filing an
Okay.
appeal.
Okay, the only thing I have to say about that, Bruce, is when we went early, let's say April, May, and then we found out, I think I remembered, but let's say the majority of the board didn't think it was the 31st. He had come to a couple of meetings. I think he came to one for sure. I don't know about the second one. And because we had a public hearing or some other very lengthy discussion, he walked out. That said, when he told you he would like to get from the board the 31st, that was not to have us wait to the 31st and then say, oh, by the way, I'm appealing the decision. We told him back in April and May, the bins needed to be gone. So that's when his appeal should have been filed.
He's been issued
Okay.
a removal order.
Okay, he has, okay, right, okay. Okay, so I guess. we should have-
When is this going to be brought to the board?
Correct.
I
yeah.
feel like this just keeps going around in circles and we need to get this resolved.
I mean, his attorney needs to do it, I would say before the 12th, but it would be at a regular public hearing, right? I mean, unless we're going to court. What's his pleasure?
I'll reach out. to see
Okay,
if
reach
he
out to him, tell him
get
that,
me his
you know.
his attorney contact and I'll.
correct, and his
further
attorney
after that.
either is at the next public hearing on the 12th, which we will say the main reason, 2 reasons is the lot is undersized and it's unattended. If it was exactly the size, we said a half acre, we would let that go, but it's.
We can just explain that to the lawyer. We all already know why he's supposed to not have them.
Right, and then the other thing is the 3 bins at Vets.
They were supposed,
We need to have a date on that. We need them,
all right, I'll see if I can
Yeah.
nail it down. They were supposed to come in and get them.
yeah, but,
And then something told them up. I'll see
Okay.
if I can't get to the bottom of it.
yeah, we need
But
to know that date
The
and,
food vendor, the underdog, has initiated and called each of the bin people. And they told them they would be gone in, a matter of 10 days. Well,
Okay.
10 days it's come and gone, so
Okay.
it's time to give another.
okay, yeah, it's time to, get on the phone with them instead of sending them a letter because we gotta get those bins moved. And then if they're moved to Bellingham someplace else, we need to make sure that that person or persons can get a permit, because if they move them to another site that doesn't have bins, will be nice. You have a week to get us, a permit in place, but you gotta make sure that they don't have somebody that also doesn't pay their taxes. So they can't get a permit and permitize, because it's a rigid program. If you don't meet all the criteria, you don't get the permit, so whatever. Yeah, check and find out where they're going to.
Yeah, no, the vendor was at the town hall today and I mentioned it to him,
Okay.
I asked him, what can we expect for a date?
Okay, great. Okay, next item is smoking news. Roberta Giovanni and discuss the vaping ban. Rob, do we have anything new on that?
So I did speak to town council. They said that they are more than happy to write up the official permitting structure. But they said that as a board, all you really have to do is vote to remove the ban. There's nothing that's added to the regulations. It's actually just the redaction of what is there. So if you would like to, you can do that at this meeting, and essentially they could begin selling effective immediately as soon as we have the permitting structure in place.
Okay. So Trish, Mike, what's your pleasure in that? I mean, I think we had talked saying we're 1 of 3 towns. They would only be selling tobacco flavor because that's the only one allowed by state law. So I don't know. At this point, don't feel hard about saying, let's be only 2 towns left, you know, whatever.
I'd like to make the motion to remove the vaping ban and the one strike.
Okay,
rule.
yeah,
Yeah, I like the one strike rule, and I also like that the state has changed it where the products have to be from the US. So that's huge too.
yeah, let's have Mike amend it, saying that they have to be manufactured, processed in the United States.
Yes, with the one strike rule.
Okay. So, okay, Trish, you want to second that?
I second that.
Okay, all those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Okay, permit issuances and past balances.
Actually, before we leave that topic real quick,
Yeah, go ahead.
I will reach out to each of the businesses just to let them know that they will need a permit. And I will reach out to council again tomorrow to see if we can have that drafted and kind of put into effect before July 1st. So that way, do you want to do what would be like a half permit for the first year since they're only getting it in July? Or do you want to do a full permit from July to December and then again in January? I figured they'd just keep the same tolling period, so everything would be up in January.
Yeah, okay. How do you feel about that, Trish? We'll just do the half year and then
Half the fee.
half the fee, yeah, basically. And we'll start July 1st, so that way the attorney, town council has time to draft the permit criteria. And that should be enough time, right, Rob, to get that done?
I would believe so.
Okay.
I think that once they have the official vote from you, that they can have that done in a couple days.
Okay, so Laura, can you make sure it gets forward to town council? And, you know, Rob and you can emphasize we need this permit to be issued on July 1st or a little before too, but it would be issued on July 1st. They could start selling the product on July 1st.
Okay, sounds good. Rob and I can work on that.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so permit issuances and past balances.
That was the goat farm.
Oh, was it? Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I think we were gonna make a motion and take a vote on that. That's why I had it on there.
Okay.
That,
On any permit or,
well, I think we were gonna say that unless, if it was an emergency repair, we would let it go through. We would override it.
okay,
But otherwise, there's no exceptions.
okay. Okay, so we're gonna make a motion here that if people have permits and they're doing it on permitized, they have to meet all the criteria, you know, if it says like, you know, all permits go to every board or commission.
Right.
So if you have, you know, haven't had them review a plan, then you can't get a permit, you know,
Right.
something like that, but whatever.
But the emergency bidding, mostly what we've been finding is if somebody's doing a Title V in the tank or the D-box
Oh.
need to be repaired, why?
Oh, yeah,
why
that's
it's open.
definitely,
A
okay.
lot of
all
people online
permits.
apply for the permit, but the hole's already open.
Correct,
and
yeah,
the
definitely,
system due
Yeah.
to the cost of the
Yeah, okay.
inspection is either
Yeah.
damaged or they uncovered something that wasn't working properly.
okay, so it's all our permits, but especially since you brought that up, Bruce. Laura, I want to make sure, and you know, Bruce as well, that none of the septic permits that are required, like for changing a D-box, changing a tank, in any way get held up, because that is an emergency. You technically lose your house. Second of all, if the contractor leaves to go and do something, you know, unless it's a Title V person investigates it, says, geez, I need a D-box and the system will pass, then that used to be, we just call up the, you know, the inspector would call the board of health and say, I need to, you know, to be able to put my backhoe in and fix this. So usually what happens is, you know, I don't know what other people, if I'm the inspector, I stay there until the guy finishes the whole job. So I don't have to come back and dig everything up, you know? I mean, certainly you want to make sure everything's level, you want to water test it, and then you want to make sure the grade hasn't changed from where it used to be to higher, thicker covering. Anyway, that said, yeah, those permits, especially septic, can't be in any way held up because those are technically emergencies. So let's do that any permit issuances, you know, would be, you'd have to fulfill all the criteria.
Yep.
With the exception of septics where there's an emergency or some other permit that would be an emergency. I can't think of anything else.
Motion for emergency permits to take priority
Okay.
and permitize.
Okay. Want to second that, Chris?
I second that.
Okay, all those in favor say aye. Aye, opposed,
aye.
abstained, so carried. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Okay, so that's part of the second part was vote to override emergency repairs. We did that. Okay, so Rob, anything new as tobacco agent? Any updates?
Not at this moment. I know that we had a couple of the fines that were written, were paid.
Okay,
Rapid Refill is also doing an appeal from my last conversation
Okay.
with the woman that was here. I believe it might have been Patty that was here, but I'm not 100% sure. I know that that's the one I've spoken to the most.
they doing that?
AJ's Mini Mart.
Okay,
Go ahead.
is that appeal with the board or with this court?
That is with the court because the fine value is above. I think actually once it breaks $300, it moves from the district court to the superior court. So they are looking to file an appeal with the superior court.
Okay. Okay,
And then AJ's Mini Mart is still denying that this is in fact I believe their third violation. So I am just setting up an appointment with the owner so that we can review the previous meeting and get that figured out. But I know that he has some family health things going on, so that might take up a little bit. So
Yeah.
there will be a resolution on that. Just it might not be in the next couple of weeks.
Rob,
Okay.
you got the video, right? When you came by. I thought I did.
Yes. Yeah, I was able to download it to my laptop and review it. So I just have to physically set up a time when we can meet. But he had to leave the country. So once he returns, we can set that up and get that all figured out.
okay. So anything on food updates?
So far, again, the last week I haven't really had a chance to go out, but nothing out of the ordinary. We are at that time of year when temperatures start to become a little bit more of an issue. I will be doing a decent chunk of inspections over the next few days, just before the close of the quarter. So before the next meeting, I can give you a better update. But nothing too far out of the ordinary.
Right, okay,
And then
I know that Bruce had filled in with.
a complaint of a cockroach at one of the restaurants.
okay,
The normal pest control guy came in and applied treatment and it caused a number of bugs to scatter and come out into the area. So they're gonna have to go back and revisit and
Okay.
apply
Were
the
they-
chemical again. But that, I mean, that's typical. We've seen that in a couple other places where they
yeah.
apply it and they find an alternate location and
Right.
they're more prevalent to see. So they'll go back and apply another.
so
treatment.
what was this, like, I believe all restaurants have to have, we call it,
Pest control.
pest control
Right.
plan with us, and it's conducted every so often. And then the emergency would be, somebody sees something outside of the normal routine treatments. Was this up to date,
Yeah,
Okay, great.
yeah, I mean, they were doing a normal treatment and it
Oh,
caused,
okay,
it caused them.
so it was at the
to
time of normal.
Relocate to a safer and higher ground and
Okay,
somebody saw some. You probably should
Got
have picked a better time to apply the treatment.
possibly, yeah, possibly. Well, whatever. I mean,
That
okay,
was discussed with the
Okay.
pest control guy, so
okay.
hopefully it doesn't happen again.
Yeah. A consumer or the owner was upset with the pest control person, because
Consumer.
consumer, okay, fine, okay. He said, you only saw one, next thing you see
Yeah.
them all.
It was just,
Right, okay,
it was just one, but what
Yeah.
happened is, when you spray for them, they hide in all the cracks and crevices.
right.
They usually don't come out. until-
And Rob, we haven't had any issue with that, without mentioning, we haven't had any issue with that place.
No, nothing of that nature. I mean, usually the biggest issue is temperatures.
I always have to do this, any new construction in the area, or, whatever, anything that disturbs these little creatures, like a lot of vibration, blasting, or new construction in the area, that restaurant, any chance? Nothing,
No.
I would say all of those things actually.
okay. Okay, well, that's probably the cause,
I was going to say, without naming the restaurant, because there's
No, no,
several that
that's
it could
fine.
be. It is right on that, the Mechanic Street where they're adding in
Okay.
the new apartments as well as the
I
Amazon
was
building, so.
guessing that, and I was saying with all the stuff that's been going on. And then, okay, that's fine. Okay, I guess, before we hit goals, one thing, since this came to my mind now. I don't know since the last meeting if I brought this up, but when I did a dust complaint at the apartments and, building services took care of that. I told the guy to do something, I believe he took care of it. Whether he got another call from inspection service, I don't know. In any event, the pile now, again, we haven't had wind, we've had a little bit of rain, but the pile is like probably 70 feet from the major roadway. I think he's tempting fate, because the minute that moves across, there are people who are gonna call us, probably gonna call me first, and then I'll call you guys, but I don't know, I think they should either cover it with something or keep it wet every day, because today it was dry as a bone. Luckily, it was no wind, but we're supposed to get some storms, and that's gonna kick up the
That
wind.
was brought up at the management office internal meeting between fire, police,
Okay, fine,
DPW.
Yeah.
So they're all aware of it.
Okay.
And I believe Tim went down and spoke to them.
okay. I would say, if you flatten it out in that area where they're parking machines, we'd have less of a problem. But with this mound, it's begging to be moved by wind, and it's gonna move. It's very, very dusty stuff. Just to add that I'm an equal opportunity observer. So far, the Fafford development on South Main Street, other than a couple of complaints, a couple of months, maybe a month and a half ago. So far, it's pretty good. I don't know,
Just not Fairford,
but okay.
that's Eastland Partners.
Okay, Eastland Partners, okay. Well, their thing is working out pretty good so far, so we'll just keep an eye on them. They have one pile that's flattened out, and then they kind of have a lot of area where they're putting in piping, but so far, no dust.
They have a water.
They have a water truck there on
They have a water
site, I
truck
do
that's on
notice
site.
that.
Actually, on my way in this morning, they were applying water.
Okay, good. So they're taking care of that because, it was brought up before. Anyway, okay. Back to the agenda, goals, outside fuel storage tanks.
We're not having much luck finding out.
Okay, fine, discuss funding
money source,
operations.
Laura and I will try to find some other avenues.
Okay,
The one that we chased down didn't turn out to be.
okay, fine. I don't know if we can do this, but I don't think it'll float, but it's a possibility. Whether it could be put under one of the pollution abatement trust, we call funding things. But I don't know. I think it would have to be like, it's gonna service more than one town. And it's gotta be a priority in other towns besides Bellingham, so. Because that's how the Title V got into that. It was originally earmarked for de-leading and asbestos. And then they threw in septic systems, and the other two, I don't think they used any of the money for that. But that said, once you get a high priority issue, I don't think,
When I do the Zoom for the group, I'll bring it up and.
yes, yeah,
See if it
Yeah.
gets some attention.
yeah. I mean, I don't know, lately, there was it wasn't the same item, but it was something similar. I think it was Doug Haley from Massachusetts Health Office Association. Somebody brought something up. I happened to just see it, but I couldn't attend that meeting because most of those meetings are Zoom. And, it might have been something else on our agenda came up, but I just thought, oh, fuel tanks, why hasn't, the association, see, like, since most towns, the agents are members, or some of the members are members, that they have, look, see if there's some other funding thing. So we don't have to do it all alone. I just say, keep looking at that, but maybe see if you contact someone to Pollution Abatement Trust and see if they have anything.
Yeah, I'll reach out.
Fuel
to-
tanks.
I'll
It's
reach
not gonna
out
be like
to-
septics, but they may have something that's, under the state's 21E for service stations or for garages. And if there's a pocket of money, which I'm sure there is every time you buy an oil product at Walmart or any other store, there's a tax for hazmat. It goes into the 21E fund. And that is in the pollution abatement trust, because pollution's everything, whether it's air, water, groundwater, sewage, you know, there's so many things that are pollutants that the state has funds for that, you know. And usually it's when people are either removing it or, you know, not constructing it, you know, like with septic systems, you know, breakup. Anyway, okay. So next thing is health agent updates, Renaissance Salon. So what did you
Renaissance
find?
Salon has a new owner, the new owner came in and applied for the permits for the
Okay.
hair and for the nails.
Okay.
I did the nail inspection.
Okay,
Their hair salon has been there over 50 years and it slipped through the cracks all this time. That there is not a tight tank for it. I
Right.
went to the
well, I think what
basement
we said was,
and looked, I mean, it was
right,
probably permitted long before, and for some reason, somebody thought it was grandfather or something. I'm working with the landlord to
Okay.
provide a way to capture the two sinks
okay,
and send it out the back rather than
Okay.
up in the front where all the asphalt and everything is. We can
okay,
probably get a tank out back. Unfortunately, that's not a slab, which was my initial thought. It's actually a foundation that you can actually get access to. those
okay,
sinks.
great, perfect.
So
Okay.
I'm working with them.
You know, let me just update this because I was on the board when, I think it was Guy Fluette and Louise Arnold. When we did nail salons, looking at several components of the waste stream and dyes and in sterilization. You know, mercury's one. There's also complex dyes that are not permitted they're permitted in sewers, but they're not permitted in groundwater. Anyway, so Agent Graff and the board worked out something where we had a public hearing and the older ones like spas, Renaissance, they were told as, you know, as if they could possibly switch to something that if they're using dye, less hazardous, but they could also capture, if they couldn't, they could capture it in an individual sink, like with 5 gallon, and then turn in that waste. But the board would not insist on a tight tank, so that's why Renaissance granted away. But what we also told all those businesses, I think there was 3 or 4 grandfathered. If you ever sell, you know, or if you ever, let's say, lease under another name, they're not gonna take the name away because it's got, not the word
Yeah,
notoriety.
one of the employees took it over when the
Correct.
died.
So the thought there is they would either have to be on sewer or tight tank. So that's the reason why there's no record of them being tight tank permitted. But if the owner
I
will
think-
work with you
Yeah, I think it's gonna be a simple,
and put, you
simple
know, a
fix,
couple
it shouldn't
pipes
be
from
bad.
just the sinks affect
just
the
yeah,
bathrooms and every other sink that's just simply
and still go out to the sewer, which
Yeah.
is up in the front.
correct. Yeah, yeah, well, the septic system, yeah. And that would be okay. It would be okay with me. I don't, what do you guys feel about that? As long as they can, you know, try not to. Our violation becomes when you sold the business. Before that, it was grandfathered. So that's the way we said it. So in any event, yeah, work with them and let us know as soon as they can get that thing, you know, retrofitted and a small tank out there. They probably won't need 1,500 gallons, but they could. You know, it'll
I
be
think the
treated.
minimum size is 1,500. if I
Yeah,
remember
okay.
right.
Well, if they can get one out there, that's fine. At the rate they'll use those 2 sinks, it's probably gonna take months before they have to empty them. And then it just simply gets emptied as industrial waste or commercial waste versus regular septic system waste.
They may be able to do one sink and use that sink for the dyes and perms.
Correct,
and
yeah,
The other
and then,
one
yeah,
for hair washing wouldn't.
right. No, the hair washing's fine as long as
Right, that's what I mean, they may have
if
to.
they're doing
isolate.
cutting and they store their equipment, tools, knives, combs, scissors. Those usually go into something like a barbicide, and usually those things have mercury in them. So what we're also trying to prevent is if someone's cleaned the sterilization solution, doesn't go down the sink. You know, maybe you can clean it up really good and keep using it.
So it's isolated and train the
Right.
staff with.
Right. So if they can make sure that
They can
also
do it,
gets,
yeah.
if they have to change it out, that would go into that sink where the,
The previous owner was a civil engineer that worked with me for years and years and years
Okay,
over in Franklin, so
okay,
he's
so,
still around, so he's gonna help them
okay.
put that together.
Okay, so I guess we jumped ahead here. So the next thing was 9 Silver Lake Road, the well cover has been done. Thanks to Dennis and the Parks Department. who filled- DPW filled in with sand. So that was, I guess, a nice way of saying it. It was good to have Dennis at our last meeting. We get that resolved. Anyway, and then the donation bins at Vets Package Store, we already talked about that. And Mr. Prado's appeal of our ruling. We're waiting on that as well. So next thing is plans for review. 35.
Three waivers.
All right, 3 waivers for 35 Farm Street to allow bottom of septic system to be installed 3 feet above ground water where 4 inches is required.
4 feet.
4 feet is required. Second is to allow the septic system to be installed 7.4 feet from foundation where 20 feet is required. Third is to allow septic system to be installed 7 feet to a property line where 10 to 13 is required.
We have a vapor barrier in it, what do you call it, 40 mil barrier, no?
Yeah, it's on the.
Okay,
I second that.
okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
So carried, thank you.
And then we got receipts, bills. Yep. All right, first bill, WB Mason for 35.95.
I second that.
Okay, all those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
So carried.
WB Mason 113 for office paper.
I second that.
Okay, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
So carried.
WB Mason 877.
I second that.
Okay, all those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
So carried.
Right.
Great.
And then lastly, SDC septic Title V for $350.
Okay.
I second that.
Okay, all those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
So carried.
We got the notice is a new stamp we're using where it's not the one we use for the septic plans itself.
Oh,
And
okay.
this one isn't, this is the message board.
Oh, yes, that's
That's
the
on the
actual
agenda.
bill.
Oh,
So if you guys could sign that, we'll get
Okay,
Mary to pay,
great.
but we are in possession of our signboard.
perfect. Dynamite.
It's out front here. Take a look on your way up.
With that, you can sign. Trish, on the septic plan, these other bills, I mean, we only need 2 signatures, but it's up to you if you want to come in and sign those.
That's fine. Or I can come by during the week, this week and get done, depending on how important it is, how fast it needs to be done.
If they sign, I can toss them in your mailbox on my way home tonight. if you don't
We can
mind
do that
somebody
for you,
pulling up
Trish.
With deadlights, you know?
That's fine. Thanks, Bruce.
Okay.
So would you say this SD inspections is a new form thing?
That's Steve Donatelli.
Oh, Steve. Okay, got it.
When
Okay, I was gonna say,
out-
what does that sound familiar? Okay, got it.
when I was out,
Okay. You want to give it this to sign to Bruce?
yeah, I'll take that.
Okay.
Sign it.
So we have nothing on betterment loans, nothing on betterment bills. Nothing now in good and farewell unless somebody has anything.
Motion to adjourn.
Okay. Second, Trish.
I
Trish,
second that. Sorry, guys. I'm a little slow with my thumbs over here.
Opposed, abstained, so carried. Okay, we're adjourned.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, thank you.